So back in the day when I decided that I wanted to be a professional golfer, a Champions Tour golfer, senior tour, I knew that I was going to get a lot of greenside shots. Nobody hits them all perfect. So I kind of went into a real thorough investigation of, well, the rough. So being a good scientist, what I did was I created some rough. So this is a plot of my property, my house over here, my driveway, the street. And when I was cutting the lawn, what I did was, for 1 week, I didn't cut one area about 2 feet wide by 4 feet long, and I let that grow. And then the next week, I didn't cut the area next to it. And then the next week, I didn't cut the area next to that. So what I had was 3 weeks of growth, 2 weeks of growth, and 1 week of extra growth, like that. So I grew some pretty good rough. This was probably about 6 inches long, 4 inches long, 2-3 inches long, and then regular fairway grass from there. So what I would do is I would go out and I would practice. I'd practice from the really tall grass, and I was making this 20-yard shot because that was comfortable enough to keep it on the property and not have to worry about it going out onto my road here. And in general, the ball would go a lot shorter from the really tall stuff, and then the next tall stuff, the shots would be a little longer, and the shorter grass, the shots would kind of come out like I expected. However, occasionally I would drop one, and that's the way I would do it. I would drop the ball into the rough and then just play it. From the short grass, I would get a shot that looked like I had hit it from the long grass. Or maybe I dropped one into the medium grass, and then it came out like a shot that had come out from the long grass. So I thought, there's something else going on here that I'm not catching on to. So what I found was, even though a ball might be sitting in the rough, long rough, medium rough, short rough, it was much more of a, where is the ball in the rough, than the kind of rough. What I found is that, like a ball on the left there, it's sitting up quite high, and I would only lose 20% of my distance on a shot like that. The middle ball, that one's kind of sitting down in the middle of the rough, and I found that I would lose 50% of my distance on a ball laying that way. And then finally this ball over on the right, it's down as far as the ball is touching the ground, and it's really down near the roots of the grass. I found that on a ball laying like that, I lost 70% of my expected carry distance. So from this, what I've developed is the 20, 50, 70 rule. If the ball's sitting up, I'm going to lose 20% of my distance. If it's in the middle of the grass, about 50% of my distance. If it's way down, 70% of my distance. So, as an example, I have this 20-yard shot, and I find myself in a position where it's 50% down into the rough. Instead of it going 20 yards, I make a 20-yard shot. I find that I only get 10 yards. I like to watch the U.S. Open, and the reason probably is because of the greenside rough or the fairway rough. It seems to be the real thing. I watch a lot of other tournaments lately, and the guys are in the rough. They take a swing, and it seems like the ball is just coming out of butter. But that U.S. Open stuff, that's the real deal.